In this series of videos, you will learn how to make a mobile game from scratch using Unity 3D engine. You can check completed game on itch.io, and you can get full project on Unity Asset Store or on my Patreon. With that said, let's get started. In this video, we will set up a project in Unity and we'll work on the main menu of the game. Let's open Unity Hub and create a new 2D URPD project. Give that some name and press create. Now you'll need to wait forever until Unity create a new project. After Unity created a project, you will see something like this. Your layout might be different from mine, but it's completely customizable. As you can see right now, I have several tabs open, which is project, hierarchy, scene, game, inspector, and also console. You can move it any way you want. For example, you can merge it together, so you can switch between scene and game, but I prefer to have separate window for scene and game, so I can see immediately my changes in the game tab when I do something in the scene. I hope you're already familiar with Unity, but let's talk a bit about some basics. Again, UI is completely customizable. You can change layout the way you want. Inside the project tab, you can find a folder structure of your project. The main folder here is assets, and we'll be working with this folder, also create new folders here, where we'll put all of the images, sounds, and scripts. Unity already created some files for us, which is something related to universal rendering pipeline and settings also with renderers, and scenes folder where scenes are stored. Scene, you can think of it as a game level, for example. Every time when you need to load a new screen in your game, it's usually stored in a separate scene. You can see it's also like a main menu, for example. When you just open your game, you see main menu. This will be a separate scene, and then you press a start game button and it will load an actual game, which will be held or stored in the separate scene. So let's rename it, this one scene, into main menu, because this is what we will be working on today. As you can see, it's immediately changed name here as well, because this is currently active scene. And as I already said, a lot of things will be happening here in scenes, in the scene tab, because all of the manipulation with game object will be happen here. We will move here them around, but we will create them in the hierarchy tab. So let's create a new empty game object in the hierarchy tab. Let's just right click in empty space here and select create empty. You'll see that it will create game object. Let's name it. I want to have a background, so I'll just call it BG for background. And also I want to reset position for this game object right now, as you can see in inspector tab. So you just need to go to inspector tab. If it's not here, you can right click, add tab, and then select inspector. So here under transform, you want to click on the three dots and then reset. So your transform will be 0, 0, 0. Scale and rotation will be also reset with that. Now I save scene. And after that, I want to add new component. It's already auto-filled for me, but so we want to add Sprite Renderer. Just write Sprite and then find Sprite Renderer in the options below. So what is Sprite Renderer is actually a placeholder for our sprite. We can put any image here and also customize it a bit inside this kind of modifier. Let's call it like that, or it's actually a component in Unity, so let's call it component better. So we can select any image we want and it will be displayed on our game scene. We can also see it in our scene tab. Right now it's super small, but we can change its size with scale, for instance. Yeah, and also, but we will talk about it a bit later, but there's a thing about how sprites are rendered in the 2D game. Like, if, for example, if we will have two sprites here, let's talk about it a bit. So I just select this background and then I pressed Command D to duplicate. Now I have two of this, and yeah, I'm using this one right now. It's a moved tool. Move tool. I can move it around. So let's make one of them red. And if I will change their position in the hierarchy, it doesn't matter. Red always be behind white. And so how we can change it? Well, first of all, yes, we can change Z position, but it's not the best approach. So we have ordering layer. We can say the bigger order is. So for example, the 10 will be, let's select the red cube, or sorry, it's not cube, but let's select Y because it's behind right now. If I'll put 10, then it will be rendered first. So it's like a rendering hierarchy. The higher layer, the higher priority it has. But first it will look into sorting layers. So let's say if I will select this red one, and we need to create more sorting layers, let's create those one right now. Just, yeah, if you've seen what I've done, is I went to this sorting layer and then I add sorting layers. Now here I can press plus and create new one, and I will call it background. Then I click or press enter, and then one more, which is lights. I will need it later in the game. Pressing plus and also player. So I assuming that first, or the behind everything will be background, then lights on top, and then player will be on top of everything. Also, maybe we want one more for decorations, because the game will be about decorating Christmas tree. So it will be probably on top of the lights, but then yeah, we'll see. Maybe we will not even use this one. So it doesn't matter now. So anyway, let's go back to our squares. And right now our red square is actually behind because ordering layer is 0 and this one is 10. But now if we will take we'll select our red square and then change it to decoration, you will see that now it's actually rendered first. So how it works, first Unity will work into certain layers, then it will look into order, and only then it will look to Z position to actually figure out what will be rendered first. Anyway, let's remove this one. Also, deselect sprite, also reset this one to white. I'll put this one as a background because we want to set up a background for our main menu. And again, I need to reset transform, so it will be in the middle of the screen. And one more thing that we need to talk, that I forgot, that we're making a mobile game, and your game tab might be a bit different right now. I already have it set up, and when I started the project, probably remember from my last project, which was this one, actually, that I set up aspect ratio as a mobile landscape, and usually you have only this one, and these are presets that you create by yourself, and you can create the preset by your own. You just click this add new item, and then you select either fixed resolution, or you can say just aspect ratio. And then for mobile you will say 9 to 16, and then just put some name like mobile landscape, and then I press OK. It will create this preset for you with this aspect ratio, and then your screen will be always within this resolution. Okay, so now I have a mobile display here. I have background or placeholder for background. Now let's drag some game assets into the game. So for that, I will create also a new folder. I went here to project and I right click, create folder, and I will call it sprites. Let's go inside. And I have already some files prepared for the game. So I'm not sure I can share any of those. I'll need to double check the license. I know that I can use it for personal and commercial use, but I'm not sure that, for example, this one, I definitely cannot share it. It's specified here. Then I cannot include it in any online or offline archive or database, to resell. So I cannot resell it. I can use it whatever way I want, but I cannot resell Sprite itself. But I can tell you where you can find it. It's actually on FreePic, so we can find this one for you. Oh yeah, this one was background actually. So actually everything here is from FreePic. All of the assets I have. Yep. Okay, so let's go to our game object with Sprite Render, and let's take image and just drag it over here. And now it will show us this image, and in scene, since we can zoom in, zoom out, looks fine, but I know that the image is huge. And I want to display it like a bit smaller, and I don't want to change a lot. I know that, so you can see that my camera right now is 10. Size, I can change it to fit the image, but it's not the way I want it to be, so I will put it back to 10. And instead, what I will do is I will go to this image and change pixels per unit value. So by default, it's 100 pixels per unit, and I can change it. So in my case, it will be 800. So the more pixels per unit you set, then the smaller kind of image will be displayed. It just will be with like more PPI, right? So when you change this value, you need to hit apply. And now you see that it's fit exactly with my camera. I'll need to do the same with another image, because I know that those images are with the same size. However, for this one, I need to put 200, and I know it. But in your case, if you will have any, like, you probably have different images. But I will, yeah. So you will need to play around with this value in the way you want, or just scale it with scale. But I really like this approach, that I can just change this pixel per unit, and then I don't need to mess with scales and whatever else. Okay, so we have our background picture. Before we proceed, I would like to create one more scene. So I select a scene, and then I command D to duplicate. And I will say that this one is a game scene. So this game will only consist of 2 scenes, and I'll show you later in this tutorial or course, whatever you call it, how we will manage any number of levels within one scene in this type of games. So I will go inside for now. So since since scenes are completely identical, you don't see any changes in game on scene view, but you can see it's in hierarchy, it's changed to game scene. And what I want to do here is to change background image into this one. So this background image without Christmas tree. After that, I will just go to my menu and I'm happy. So what we want to do next is to create new game object. Right now, we will select UI and then we will select button text mesh pro. It will prompt you to import TMP essentials, which I will do. And also I will import examples and extras. When both of these imported, we can just close this window. And now we can double click on the button. So it will change our view a bit. As you can see, so it's created not only button itself, but also canvas and event system. So like how to explain it? So inside the game, we can separate UI elements of the game, like buttons that's on our menus, right? It will be holded in canvas. Also maybe in on-screen buttons like control buttons will be inside this canvas, where everything else as a sprites, it will be outside of the canvas. The canvas is some sort of, it's actually a screen. You can specify render mode to overlay, so it will be like overlaid of the screen, so it doesn't matter the position of the canvas. It will be always be overlaid with the screen. So right now I cannot even move it. In our case, we don't want this to be constant pixel size, but we want to make it scale with screen size. And we also want to specify what is our screen size, and it is 1080 by 1920. And we want to match it with width. So what will that mean? So if device screen will be different from this, and it's not only this, but like it will take like aspect ratio of the screen. So if the aspect ratio of the screen will be different, it will always match the screen width, and then in case it will need to shrink or expand, so it will always match width, but then with this with bottom and up part of the picture, it might cut it out. So I'm okay with cutting out button or up of the screen. It's fine with me. So that's why I specify this match. So, oh, sorry, I accidentally rename it. Let's put it back, canvas. Now it's also added this event system. What it will do is it will actually detect all of our clicks on the buttons and so on. And button itself. Now I can move it. You can see that I move it inside the canvas. So the canvas is this white line, this big white rectangle, where the actual game elements as a background is down here. It's inside the camera view, right? So this everything, oh yeah, so exactly. So this is rendered differently. And when I move it, you can see on the game tab, you can see this button there. Also inside the canvas, elements has not just transform, but rect transform. You see, it's different. Even icon is different. So how it works? So here we can select how to anchor our elements. So let's resize our button a bit so it's you can see it better on the screen. So you don't need to do the same, because I'll do it just for example. Let's position, first of all, there are some like hot keys here. If I'll press Option on the Mac, I guess it's Alt on the Windows, or I'm not sure. Yeah, it's probably Alt, exactly. So if you press Alt and just press and hold and then select one of these, it will stick your element to whatever position you decide. It can also expand it here or here or here, or for the entire screen. Anyway, right now I'll anchor it to middle of the screen and put width back to, let's say, 400. And now if I will resize the screen, the button will be always in the middle of the screen. But if I will change angle to, let's say, the middle top, now if I will make, first of all, I want to make it free aspect ratio so you actually see it. So yeah, a button immediately went down because right now the position of the button is minus 900. And when I change it, it always like that. So let's put it back to the middle of the screen and put the anchor back to the middle so you can see again that when I change screen size now, when it's anchored to the middle of the screen, it's always remain in the center. So you always need to think about where you anchor all of these elements in your canvas. But it's UI, it's very important to actually select this anchor right, because then with different devices, with different screen size, it can be easily messed up. Anyway, let's put it back to 9 to 16, select center anchor. And now what we want to do is I want to remove this text completely. And for button, I already have kind of sprite for it. Unfortunately, this sprite is stored on this PNG file with a transparent background. And there is actually a part of this image I want to put inside this button. How I will do it. So since I know that this image, it's one image, however, it consists of smaller images, so it's not a single sprite. I will say that it's a multiple sprite. So if I will select this image and then go to inspector, and then in sprite mode, I will select multiple and then click apply. And now I can go to sprite editor. It will open our image for us. And here, what we can do, we can click slice, and we can either select these options to specify manually how we want to slice it, or we can just choose automatic, and it's automatically slice our picture how it should be sliced. Well, usually it's do its job very well, I would say. So after that, we just click apply. Good. And we can close this window. Click apply. And now you see that this is not single sprite anymore. It's actually multiple sprites where we can see sprite that I want, which is play. And I drag and this play sprite into source image of our button. I can select native size, and now I also want to move it a bit up, like this. I can save scene, and now if we will press this button, play, it will actually start a game. And if we'll click on the button, nothing will happen. By the way, it's already have some, so the button already have some interactions. out of the box. So when we highlight the button, how it will be changed, also if we pressed, how it will change, and so on. And we can also specify even some animation if we want. However, I don't want it. But yeah, we can do whatever we want here. Like you can see that when I press, now the color is changing. And I'm doing in the play mode. So when I stop the game by pressing play again, all of the changes that been done inside or during the play mode, it will just gone. It will be cancelled. So also don't forget about that as well. Anyway, what we want to do right now is when we click on the button, we want to load this scene, which is game scene. This is our goal. So let's do that. It's not the only thing I want to do. So let's create a folder and call it scripts. And here inside this folder, let's create C# script. And I will call this script is main menu controller. So we want to have this script so we can attach it to our button and select some function that will be run after we click on it. Anyway, if you already tried this game on itch.io or I hope in Google Play Store, if I already publish it there and you're watching this video now, you see when we press in this play button, it will zoom in to kind of a play mode. So that's what I want to do. I want to attach an animator to our camera. So I just created a new component, which is animator component. I'll create a new folder again, animations. So everything related to animation will be stored here. And we want to create animator controller, we call it camera, and just drag this one here. After that, what we need to do, we need to add new tab, which is animation tab. With main camera selected, we just create new one. And let's call it zoom in. Animations. Yes. Good. So with camera selected, what we can do now, and press this red record button. Also, what I want to do is to change, so here on these three dots, probably, yeah, I need to select seconds. It's already selected for me, but again, it's just remember from my previous project. Usually it's set up as a frames by default. So you want to change it to seconds if you follow in this video and create it just the same. But if you want to do some other animation, just, yeah, it's fine to have frames. Anyway, what I want to change here is position and also size of the camera. So first on this 0 step, I'm adding key to position and also right click on the size and add key here. And then I go down to 3rd second, I guess. And I want to, first of all, yeah, I need to decrease the size of the camera so it will came closer to our sprite. Also, I want to change, like shift a bit by x axis, so Christmas tree will be in the middle, and then I will change y axis just like this, I believe 294, and that's it. Since record button was selected, now I can deselect it again, and if I will play, you will see that we have some smooth animation of how our camera zooms in to the game view. So yeah, let's stop it here. And now I want to add one more tab, and it's not actually here. So instead, let's go to Window and then Animation, and we want to have this animator. I will put it down here, and also it will be with main camera selected. So yeah, I guess if we will just double click on camera as well, it will open animator for us. And so what we see here right now is like a states of animations, and you see that from entry we have this arrow to zoom in. Zoom in is our default state right now. It is actually bad. Well, not bad, but it's not what we want. Why? Because if I will start the game right now, what this will mean is this animation by default, and it will just start zoom in as soon as game will start, and it's also go in loops. So first, what we need to change, we don't want this animation to be like a circle animation, so like in the loop, we just deselect this checkbox after I double click on it. We also want to have intermediate state, which is just empty state. I will call it like idle, or it's actually not idle. Idle is more for characters or something, but it's just empty state. And instead, I will right click on this empty state and then set is as a default. Also, here in the animator tab, on the left hand, we will see layers, each where it is where all of the layers of animation we will have, and it will not be covered in this tutorial or in this series of lessons anyway, because it's like more advanced animation tools. For example, when we're doing 3D game, 3D shooter, let's say, or when our character is, we need to make animation for holding weapon and also animation for run. And sometimes we need to combine those animation, right? When we both hold in weapon and run. So this is where layers actually came in handy, because we can make some configuration where these two animation will be triggered at the same time and will not block each other. Because usually only one animation can be played at a time with a game object, but with these layers we can combine those. Anyway, what we want to do is we go to Parameters tab, and we want to create a new parameter. We select Trigger, and we call it Zoom. Yeah. Why we need it? So we can change parameters of this animator from the script. And based on these parameters, we can also, in this animator controller, we can change state of our animation. So right now from the idle, let's right click and create new transition to zoom in. And yep, it will not go back, only one way. So it does not have exit time, but it has some condition, and it's automatically filled in, so it's zoom. And also Yes, I guess it's fine. So let's save it. Now, if I will press play, you can see that nothing happens. However, if we trigger this zoom, animation starts. Super. So this is what we want to do in our script that we will create in a moment. What we want to do is to, first of all, when we click on the button, it should disappear. Then when we click on it, it will trigger some script that will access our camera and trigger its animation, then wait a bit and open a new scene. So let's do that. Go into scripts folder where we created a main menu controller recently and just double click on it. For Unity projects, I'm using Visual Studio. So from here, before we deep dive into all of the scripty thing, let's start small. So I removed start and update scripts because we don't need them. What I want to do is to create a public void on start pressed script. And the only thing I will do here for now is we'll just debug log pressed. Yeah. And after that, let's go back to Unity. Maybe we need to wait. Yes, exactly. We need to wait for script compiles. Everything fine. If there will be any errors, you will see them in the console and it will not give you to run the game. So you want to fix all of the compiling errors before you start the game. But now with this, what we can do is we go in our hierarchy, we go to button, inspector of the button, and then here we have some on click. So first on click, yeah, it's not first, but I will add it to our canvas, I guess. Yeah, let's add it here for now. So let's add new component and it will be main menu controller. As you can see, we can add a script as a component to our game objects. So here with this done, let's go back to button and now we can drag this canvas to here, to new object, and we can select main menu controller and on start pressed. So I selected that function that we just created. So this function will be triggered after we click on that button or press. Also, I want to have one more action when we click here, and I will not drag any, or I will actually drag the button itself. And what I want to do is to select game object, set active, and then we'll have this empty unchecked box. So if we'll check it, then it will actually make it active, but we want to deactivate it. So what it will do, let's see. I'll pressing start button, the game started, and now I will open console and press on the play button. You can see button disappeared and we see pressed is console logged in the console. Super. So let's go back to the script and do some changes. So what we want to do is we want to access a scene manager. So for that, we want to use scene management namespace. Yeah, just do this and trust me. Cool. Let's say private, I guess. Void load the game. Yeah. And then scene manager, load scene. Oh, actually, I guess we don't need this extra function. So from here, we can select scene name or scene index. So it will be index 1. And I wonder, can we specify actually a time? I want to see. So here, you see, I'm just scrolling through whatever options it has. And no, I don't have this option to load the scene after some time. Yeah, annoying. Anyway. So let me just double check. I can do invoke. Yeah, exactly. So we will invoke this function, load the game, after 3 seconds. Let's see why it's complained, because it's written, it should be a method name, but as a string. So we need to put the method name in these quotes. So now it should be fine. So in 3 seconds, it will invoke this function. So using invoke function, we will invoke this function in 3 seconds. But first, what we want to do, we want to access that animator from the camera, and there's a few ways to do it. I guess that the simplest way will be just to say public animator, then animator, just semicolon, don't forget about it, it's C#. And what we do is just say animator dot set trigger. And remember that we created that parameter zoom in our camera animator controller, and now we can actually trigger that trigger. So we can just say zoom. But let's just make sure that we have that animator in the game. So I'll just say if animator, then it will do this one, and it will invoke load game in any case. So let's save this scene, or sorry, let's save this script, and let's go back to our Unity editor. So remember, we created that public animator variable. However, we haven't instantiate, like we haven't created anything. We just said, okay, it's just a placeholder for animator, but we haven't found it yet. So that's why we need to go to our canvas where the script is created. You can see that now we see this animator field, and we can drag our main camera because it's already have animator component. At Unity, we'll just figure out that it will need to take the animator from that game object. Now we can save our scene, press play, and press play button. Animation started, and okay, nothing happens. We could actually see some error in console. Oh yeah, sure. I forgot one step. So if we go to console, we see that scene was built index 1, couldn't be loaded because it's not being added to the build settings. And yes, it's my mistake. But it's good that we seen this error, because now I can explain it, why you might see this error. So what we need to do, we need to add that scene to exactly to our build settings. So with this, we go to File and then Build Settings. And here we can see that the main scene already here, but we need to also drag our game scene here. And on the right from each of these scenes, we can see that indexes of this scene. And from the script, we will load this scene with index 1. So also don't change the position or hierarchy of the scenes here if you're using indexes and not scene names. And with scene names, you don't want to change scene name, but yeah, programming. Okay, let's try again. Press play, animation running, and then yes, new scene is loaded. Alright, that was it for this video. Hope you learned something new. We covered some Unity basic stuff, created a project, created a main menu where we covered sprite rendering, canvas transforms, animations, and of course wrote some bugs in C#. Don't miss my next video by subscribing, where we will add a player and write movement script. If you have any questions left, please write them in the comments. I'll appreciate your likes and feedbacks as well. Have a great one and see you in the next video.